Tell us what's behind Nvidia today. That stock's having a pretty good day, up almost 4%.
It is. Couple things happening here. We have Nvidia CEO Jensen completing his pre-planned stock sales that amasses over $700 million from mid-June to mid-September. That's according to a latest SEC filing. Worth noting, Huang is Nvidia's largest individual shareholder, owning about 4% of the company stock. Separately, UBS Intelligence out with a new AI note today. They believe that semiconductors like Nvidia, Broadcom, and TSMC remain the biggest beneficiaries of big tech's robust spend on artificial intelligence. We sort of already knew that, but they think that trend continues, Scott. Just looking at the price action, Nvidia now up about 13% from that dip earlier this month. The average Wall Street's target on Nvidia, 148, and I would point out shares are trading at 120 and change.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. Real quick to you, Bob. Semis have not traded well of late. That's been one of the areas of concern in this market. So, yeah, thank you.
We're going to see Micron could change that. That's going to be out on Wednesday. Of course, that's in a very specific space, the memory space, not necessarily the same spot that Nvidia works in. But look, just the fact that we've had this dip in semis and the market is sitting at new highs shows you the rally, the rotation that goes on. On days, some days we see consumer stocks do better, consumer staples do better, and healthcare defensive names, and tech tends to rise. You get this beautiful rotation that's going on a daily basis. Yes, semis are down here, but that is not an awful chart. That is some consolidation to me. That is a sideways for the last month or so. I'm not that worried.
Are you worried about semis right now? They haven't traded well at all.
I think that in the medium term, it's still wildly bullish. I think in the next October and January kind of guidance season, it's hard for margins to go up. It's hard for people to see, proof cases from the hyperscalers. But ultimately,
you say mildly or wildly bullish?
Wildly bullish, and I'm still very bullish on the whole
semis.
Complex. Yeah, in like any.
How can you be cautious on the market and wildly bullish on the semis?
In any 12 or 24 month time frame, as you know, right now, gross margins peaking for Nvidia. We've been writing for 25 years that you buy semis until the margins peak. I think on the other side of that, this is a new world. Semis grew GDP plus 2 for 20 years. Now it's like GDP plus 7 or 8. And so the multiple is going to be much higher in the future than the past. So I think you just have to get through this sort of challenge about hyperscaler spending. And on the other side of it, when you see more cases of companies being productive, you'll be back to trading those things. So Nvidia's only $20 down from all-time high, so it's not like it's acting that bad. But I think it'll be way higher in 2 or 3 years.
Mike, I'm just curious, and I don't mean to put you on the spot if I do, but Nvidia had an interesting ramp sort of midday today, and I'm just wondering if you noticed anything interesting going on with that name.
Yeah, well, Nvidia was actually the top of the list. I mentioned that 5 of the top 10 most active, call options in single stock space were the chips, and Nvidia was number 1. We also saw a lot of flow, though, I should say, in names that don't necessarily have a proprietary lock on the market. I mean, beaten up Intel was in the mix. We saw AMD and Broadcom, and actually Micron was number 10. So I mean, Nvidia is always busy. It's really the busiest one, and of course we got a big pop in the stock, and there was a lot of call buying on the back of that.
Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang cashes in over $700 million in a move that has the entire stock market buzzing. But what's driving this boardroom powerhouse to make such a significant move, and why are investors so excited? You won't believe the ripple effect this has had on Nvidia shares, up more than 4% just from this announcement alone. And that's not even the most compelling part. This seismic shift has left analysts and market watchers speculating on the broader implications, not just for Nvidia, but for the tech industry as a whole. Huang's decision, a perfectly timed stock sale, elevates not only his own finances, but also captures the attention and interest of a wide array of stakeholders in the financial and technology markets. Welcome back, everyone, to Investocracy.
Let's get a mad dash in, talk a little Nvidia. Jensen Huang, of course, the well-known CEO, founder of the company, going to be a guest at Goldman's Communicopia Conference. I believe, Jim, on stage very early in the morning Pacific time with David Solomon, the CEO of Goldman Sachs.
And there's very specifically, I want to talk about the problem of Nvidia. There's a lot of the network's kind of view that I heard yesterday was a slowdown. That's just not true. There is no slowdown. But what there is a complication. this new chip's very, very powerful, really hard to make, but there's a couple of releases today, really good release from Oracle and Nvidia together, talking about, and this is the complication, AI supercomputer, the largest in the cloud, to deliver up to 131,072 Nvidia GPUs to enable customers to build, train, and inference AI at scale. Now we're all over our heads. See, now we're all trying to figure out what do you do with that. Like, I immediately shot a memo, a series of questions to NVIDIA saying, well, what does that mean? And when you don't know what it means, and I've spent 12 years trying to understand NVIDIA, then what are the people going to do is like, we will own it because they just hear that it goes up. We are now in a moment where NVIDIA is too hard for most people to understand. And we need Jensen to explain it. And why, if that's late, what does that mean? So I say that we're at a moment of confusion in NVIDIA, not a moment of slowdown.
But didn't they give a bit of an explanation during the earnings when they discussed and gave a little detail around Blackwell and why it was going to get up to full production? Not too long.
Right, and that's important. Like, for instance, we found out that sovereign users want it. But more importantly, I mean, you look at it and you can say, okay, well, I don't know exactly what it does, but boy, does Larry Ellison want it. And Oracle really wants it. Oracle wants to be involved with the NVIDIA supercomputer. That's the term we should be using, not even platform, just a supercomputer. But I just pointed out because, David, until all the people who don't understand what NVIDIA does get out of stock, you ain't going anywhere.
Jensen Huang, the 61-year-old visionary and CEO of Nvidia, adopted a strategic trading plan back in mid-March that allowed him to sell up to 6 million Nvidia shares by the end of the first quarter of 2025. Amazingly, he hit that threshold well ahead of schedule, specifically between June 13th and September 12th, and pocketed a cool $700 million in the process, according to a new regulatory filing. For those curious about the why, these sales were made under a 10b5-1 plan. The joys of pre-planned stock sales. They make even the savviest among us ponder the mysteries of the market. But what does this mean for Nvidia, and how might this influence other tech giants watching from the sidelines? What's undeniable is the impact on Nvidia's stock. The announcement alone boosted shares by more than 4%. Not too shabby, right? And this isn't the end of the story. Year to date, Nvidia's shares have rocketed by more than 140%. Yep, you read that right. Much of this can be attributed to the boom in artificial intelligence, where Nvidia's processors are proving indispensable. The company's products power the likes of OpenAI's ChatGPT and are utilized by tech titans such as Microsoft, Meta, Alphabet, Amazon, and Oracle. If you thought your smartphone was impressive, wait until you see what AI can do. This momentum is not just a fleeting trend, but a sustainable force reshaping multiple industries in real time. But before we go any further, if you want to keep up with Nvidia's latest updates and keep up with the stock market's latest news, you can follow our Twitter account. We post multiple times daily about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market, so click the follow button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates. Back to the video.
NVIDIA CEO, it's a portmanteau, so easy to do that. Jensen Huang speaking at the Goldman Sachs Communicopia conference later this morning. What do investors in markets want to hear from the leader of the chip maker? Joining us now, Ben Reitzes, Melius Research Head of Technology Research. And it's good to see you, Ben. I figure you'd have to say the stock, you could call it a bear market, I guess, although the bull market was like nothing, the likes of which we've never seen. I'm channeling Trump. But it was an amazing bull run. It's down about 23%, though. Is it in a bear market, or is this a time to actually is it a falling knife?
I don't think it's a falling knife, Joe, and it's good to be with you on such an important day in our history, in New York especially. I think that NVIDIA right now, last year, actually, if you remember, it took a break in the back half of the year. This is more severe. I think there's some macro worries and whatnot, but the big thing about NVIDIA is they're in a product transition, and the rest of semis also is absorbing the potential recessionary risks and some other things going on. So I think that in terms of NVIDIA, one of the big surprises on their last call was taking gross margins down in the near term. And semi stocks that hit that usually with a gross margin bump tend to, not perform anymore for a little while until they get that going again. But I think they'll come out on the other side of that within a few quarters. And I think that'll be a big topic when he speaks later today, if folks are able to ask questions.
Moreover, NVIDIA's reach goes beyond just AI. Their graphics cards are the gold standard for the gaming industry, rendering lifelike virtual realities and driving esports to new heights. The same technology is also key to advancements in fields such as autonomous driving, medical imaging, and more. So, Jensen Huang isn't merely leading a company, he's at the helm of a tech revolution. His decisions influence a broad spectrum of sectors, further cementing NVIDIA's role as a cornerstone in current and future technology ecosystems. This broad applicability reinforces NVIDIA's brand as not just a participant, but a leader in the accelerating tech race. Let's pause for a quick joke. Why did the stockbroker go broke? Because he lost interest. But that's clearly not the case with NVIDIA. The powerhouse has soared, briefly topping a market cap of $3 trillion earlier this year. With its influence growing day by day, NVIDIA's performance tends to swing broader market sentiment. Huang himself remains NVIDIA's largest individual shareholder, holding 75.4 million shares and another 786 million through various trusts and partnerships. NVIDIA has effectively cemented its role as a linchpin in the generative AI boom, making it a stock that not just promises, but delivers growth. As Barron's first reported, this latest spate of stock sales only underscores the confidence in NVIDIA's ongoing trajectory. Investors and market watchers should keep an eye on how these developments continue to influence market dynamics. Let's not overlook the broader implications of Huang's strategy. Regulatory filings like these are scrutinized not only by individual investors, but also by institutional entities. Huang's moves could be interpreted as a positive signal, showcasing a mature and forward-thinking approach to wealth management. It's a reminder to investors that strategic selling does not equate to a lack of confidence, but rather a balanced and diversified financial strategy. This strategic selling could potentially be Huang's way of setting the stage for future growth opportunities, both within NVIDIA and in other ventures he may be pondering. It also adds a layer of transparency and foresight that can encourage other leaders in the sector to adopt similarly calculated financial maneuvers. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
We watched NVIDIA sort of ignore everything not related to AI. I mean, the Fed, global growth concerns, what was happening in other semiconductors. Are you saying now it might actually be paying attention to the possibility of a global slowdown, growth? I mean, I watch oil and look at the 10-year. We're going to see inflation numbers today, but there are some macro things going on that might be reaching a more climactic point than before with NVIDIA. Is it subject to that or no?
Well, I think that they have a lot of things going on that are immune. I think the semis in general are having potentially another macro scare here in the back half of the year.
Yeah.
And, you know, NVIDIA caught up in that. But in terms of AI in general, I think there's a lot of tailwinds, secular tailwinds that over the long term we're going to be doing really well. I feel like they're insulated a bit from some of these macro swings, like in PCs, some of the commodity servers potentially, and some other areas. So I think they're doing really well. One of the issues is they're sucking a lot of the air out of the room, and folks need to allocate their spending towards AI, which is potentially impacting some other sectors. That's been bigger potentially in the first half. I think that's going to be a big narrative again next year. So, look, I wish the macro data was better, but I feel NVIDIA's pretty well insulated. But I do feel like it's gobbling, you know, a lot of mind share within the sector in general with this sell-off.
So, what does this mean for you, the savvy investor? The market's current love affair with AI isn't ending anytime soon, and NVIDIA's positioning as a leader in this sector makes its stock an enticing prospect. Given the recent 4% surge in share value following Huang's sales announcement and a stellar 140% rise this year, the outlook couldn't be more promising. For those with a keen eye on growth stocks, NVIDIA continues to shine bright. Investors with a knack for spotting growth trends will find NVIDIA's strategic moves particularly compelling. With its pivotal role in AI developments and a clientele list that's a veritable who's who of tech giants, NVIDIA is not just riding the wave but creating it. So, while Jensen Huang might be taking a step back in selling some of his shares, This stock's skyward trajectory suggests there's still plenty more room to grow. As the company continues to innovate and expand its technological horizons, the potential for further gains appears robust and enduring. Nvidia's forward momentum promises not only immediate returns but also long-term gains as the tech landscape continues to evolve. And now, let's turn the mic over to you, our audience. What are your thoughts on Nvidia's latest moves? Will you be hopping on this bullish bandwagon? Or do you see storm clouds ahead? Share your opinions. We're eager to hear your take. Your insights and opinions can help shape future discussions on this exciting topic. Investing in Nvidia isn't just about capitalizing on current trends. It's about believing in the transformative power of technology that shapes our future. And finally, if you would like to know what companies like Nvidia have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.